The most crucial feature SpaceX and Elon Musk must address in the architecture of the spaceship is the ability to sustain life on board. Without a doubt, this super gigantic rocket known as the Starship is the most astonishing creation in the history of rocket launch. Stick around to discover the newest updates and adjustments SpaceX has made to the Starship in order to preserve life and substantially minimize passenger health deficiencies while traveling to space. You will also learn about the optimal design for the Starship that will make journeying to space full of enjoyment. According to the official user guide of the Starship, the crew arrangement will feature individual rooms, centralized storage, vast social areas, a viewing gallery, and solar storm shelters. SpaceX would create a baseline crew arrangement. What is written in the user's handbook indicate that things may get crazier. Michael Lamontagne, a well-known Canadian design engineer, had created a model to get a better idea of what the interior of the Starship will look like. The design divides the Starship's living space across 7 decks numbered A through G. There are 2 entrances between decks from the bottom up, separated slightly from one deck to the next to limit the possibility of incidents associated with attempting to fly across many decks while in 0G. It would be quite enticing, and many passengers would try it if there were no barriers. Any unexpected incident will be avoided by removing the rails around the holes, whether on Earth or Mars. Except for Deck G, which is 2.16 meters high, all decks will feature 2.2 meters living area. Some of the blue bars indicate handholds and footholds similar to those seen on the ISS. The floors are shown with hexagonal tiles to indicate that it is a system capable of allowing wall partitions and other objects to be connected or removed to fit the passengers' preferences and needs. Deck A has the gym, an outdoor airlock, restrooms, and storage space. Occupants are required to exercise for 2 or more hours every day in order to avoid bone and muscle loss. Because there is no right orientation in 0G, this concept of this design makes use of every element of the living space. The airlock allows access to the outside of the ship during flight in order to do repairs, minor inspections, or assist landings in areas where there is no pre-existing terrestrial facilities. Passenger cabins and facilities are located on decks B and C. Each deck will have 25 rooms, with 2 persons each room. During launch and landing, the walls will be removed and the seats will be positioned radially for acceleration and parallelly during entrance and descending. The location or orientation of the seats can be altered automatically with sufficient range to accommodate changes in the ship's vector direction. The chairs will be removed after the launch and stored in the Deck A storage compartment. Each cabin's ceiling will be used to store small bags and carry-ons. Passengers will sleep on the wall in basic sleeping bags similar to those used on the International Space Station to allow easier access and exit while one or both is asleep. Passengers will sleep in 2 shifts to provide more room per person. Deck D is home to the solar storm shelter as well as a single toilet. The storm shelter's interior is made up of a 12.5 cm layer of water packed in plastic containers that may be withdrawn. During the flight, used water during bath or water disposed as waste may be extracted, recycled, and processed for cooking or other purposes. The Starship will contain a closed-cycle water purification system, recycling and processing urine into drinking water, similar to that present on the ISS. Food will be stored in some of the internal storage rooms on this deck. Because of where Deck D is located, it will provide some protection for the extra cabin sections. Decks F and G are lounge spaces where people may watch movies together on wide screens. If you don't like what's on display, it's expected that everyone has their own personal laptop. Through the huge window on the ship's leeward side, both decks get a view. This concept is wonderful, but if SpaceX intends to keep people on Starship for a long period, things will get more complicated for passengers on board, and it will definitely require a life support system. Just that, the life support systems will increase weight and complexity. To incorporate a life support system, SpaceX may even need to modify the way the Starship functions. SpaceX has successfully determined where all of the astronauts and passengers would sleep, eat, exercise, and have fun, but what about the life support system? Well, Elon Musk has already addressed the subject of a life support system in his discussions about the Starship, although only briefly. When he was asked about the sorts of life support systems that the Starship would use, he replied, "I don't believe it's all that difficult in terms of the Starship itself. The life support system is rather simple. Life support systems must provide the proper quantity of gases for humans to breathe while also removing carbon dioxide from the air before it accumulates to a harmful level. Water and oxygen may be delivered in finite containers on a voyage to orbit, just enough and some more to bring them there. A regeneration system for oxygen and water is put in place on the Starship, just like it is on ISS, where humans dwell for months at a time. They are recycled in a closed-circuit system designed by Lamentine. Urine and sweat are recycled and reused as drinking water. Some of the water is divided into oxygen and hydrogen through a process known as electrolysis, resulting in air for humans to breathe. Life support systems are often large and sophisticated. Musk has not verified whether the Starship's system would be regenerative. Life support systems are critical, but keeping people safe in emergencies is another issue. Since the Starship will contain 100 passengers, that alone will be a higher risk to sustain life, and how these risks may be mitigated must be acknowledged and addressed. If something goes wrong, any passenger can be hurt or, worse, killed, so there is still a lot of work to be done. The Starship will carry 100 passengers to Mars. Consider this for a moment. Not even 10, 20, or 30 passengers. But Elon Musk, on the other hand, aims to deploy 100 people at the same time. That'll definitely be a lot of people on board, more like a mini village, which is not a bad idea. But I suppose the most important thing is that humans deserve comfort. And can the Starship provide such comfort? Let's start with the characteristics of living things, which is movement, metabolism, growth, response to the environment, and reproduction. And we all know that we humans must exercise all of these characteristics in any environment we find ourselves in order to live conveniently. And Elon Musk must meet the demands of humans as a living thing in order to fit 100 people aboard the spaceship comfortably and without stressing the health. Remember that every one of these 100 passengers aboard the Starship has a unique psychology, thoughts, and concepts, and combining them in an enclosed vessel will almost certainly result in fear, especially in terms of social interaction. Of course, you don't expect 100 people to live in a vessel for good 7 to 9 months doing the same boring routine like waking up, eating, exercising, and sleeping. It'll be exhausting and frustrating. The Starship should be equipped with facilities that will provide humanity with relaxation and entertainment. To stress more on these, the Starship should be designed similarly like a super gigantic ship that travels on oceans for months, and it's also equipped with event centers that will keep passengers engaged and even give them room for excitement and socialization. Think about the type of events that people get engaged with while traveling in ship on the ocean for months. Of course, the ship is usually equipped with event centers like table tennis court, movie theaters, kitchens where different intercontinental dishes are cooked, and the swimming pool to keep passengers engaged, excited, and also make humans relate to each other much better and feel like home. That's the best way Elon Musk should design the Starship to look like. A clever idea for the supply of other necessary needs to keep the journey going without interruption was to connect numerous Starships at the noses and then rotate them. This is due to the fact that the noses already contain hooks that allow them to be raised by cranes on Earth. Therefore, in the case of inadequate supply of food or necessary equipment, the attached Starship will serve as a storage vessel to resupply anything needed. This option was stated by Elon Musk himself. Another concept is to install rails within the Starship so that the nose of the ship could slide apart and an inflatable donut piece could be extended. You might have a rotating inner layer within this donut. This would be useful for exercising, restrooms, and showers. When the inflated structure is closed up, the excess mass may be used as radiation shielding. How best do you think the Starship will sustain human life during the long journey to Mars? Be sure to check out your favorite SpaceX video here.